And now I'd like to introduce founder and visionary for Some New Marketing, Shondell Newsome.
Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to making sweet marketing music the rhythm of your business brand. Today, I want you to forget about what you thought branding to be. I want you to walk away from what everyone has taught you about branding. Don't think about logos, taglines, colors, or the look or feel. I'm not going to be coming to you from that creative standpoint. Everyone talks about that. I'm going to be talking to you about the psychological effects of branding. It's about changing behaviors. The creative side is a visual, auditory, or even a kinesthetic reminder to ignite the physiological response that we want from our customers. But we need to explore the psychology before we get there. We're talking about the rhythm of your business brand. Think about the best song you have ever heard personally. I like the old school with real horns, drums, and even a xylophone or a tambourine. You can feel the music in your soul. So take a minute and think about how you feel when you hear your favorite song, and you will see how a customer should feel when they engage your brand. Today, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. Winning brands make sweet music, and the way winning brands make sweet music is because they spend a lot of time not so much worrying about what you know traditionally as branding, like creating a logo or creating a tagline. They spend a lot of time on the back end talking about the importance of semiotics in branding. And that's the difference between it's unlike conventional research. Semiotics delivers strategic research and analysis that generates robust and inspirational outcomes that can be used for a range of activities, from branding strategy, planning, to creative development. Brands can create culture rather than respond to culture, which is a little bit different. If you think back to the times of the early 80s when we first were introduced to desktop computers, that was a little bit different. There was something there was a phenomenon changing, and things were not going to be normal ever again. No one was going to be using their IBM typewriter to hit that key and then go and do whiteout and all that kind of stuff. We were about to go into a whole different world, transforming 30-some years later what we're doing today. Think about it from this standpoint. The creators of Apple and the creators of the Home Depots of the world did not look at things based on what was there at that time. They were looking at things that were going to happen in the future. And I just happened to be a part of a wonderful, wonderful emergence in the early 80s as a teenager with hip-hop. And that's when I first started my communications career, is there was a new shift of music and a new phenomenon that has really transformed the entire world. So when you talk about behaviors and creating behaviors and establishing new things, I know it's far-fetched for many of us that are small business owners, but really, really sit down and think about how you can actually change the world with the way you brand and the way you develop your brand. Semiotics can be a powerful tool to create awareness, develop brand associations, and add brand values that make a difference in the market. So I just wanted you to kind of get behind the scenes of that logo, behind the scenes of that tagline, behind the scenes of all the colors and everything that makes up your brand. Semiotics can help brands in a number of ways. They make innovations that naturally fit into society. And one of my favorite brands, and you'll see it in the next slide, is Fandango, because I hate lines. And, you know, if you really think about it, Fandango created a service that allowed people to get into the movies faster. So those of us that were deterred from going to the movies because we were standing in line too long, we were encouraged again. We're like, wow, this is cool. I could pay for it at home. I could get my tickets or put it on my phone, and I could walk right through the line. So think about things in that manner. Think about the people who create things that make life easier for folks, that makes the world better for people, that really just go not only go outside the box, but it just kicks the box to the curb. So I want you guys to think about music. When you think about music, think about those trendsetters in music. Think about those people who not only just made a song and they were one-hit wonders. Think about becoming that person that can really, really work through decades, and that, you know, they can go from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to the 2010s. Those type of people are who you want to become as a business. You don't want to just be that one-hit wonder. So that's where we start talking about what is the purpose of your particular song? What makes your song unique to everybody else? And this is where I believe that most business owners struggle, very much so. You struggle because you say, hey, you know what? I own a hamburger joint, but McDonald's exists. You know, Burger King exists. Fat Burgers exist. So what can I do that's different? You have to figure out what is the purpose of your song. Are you trying to inspire people? Are you trying to get people to dance? Are you trying to get them to be spiritual? What are some things that you're trying to do? Think of a new way to do things. Think of how we improve on things. Create a whole new culture. Don't look at what's there right now. Look at what could be in the future. Why does your company exist? Not because you want to make money, not because you just happen to have fallen into this legacy, my father did it. Why does it exist? You want to show somebody how to do something? Maybe that's what your business does. Do you want to bring people together? What's interesting is, do people understand that there were dating services before eHarmony? There were dating services, but you know what dating services were? They were kind of sleazy. You know, you go into this abandoned warehouse or whatever, you use videotapes, you match up each other, you know, you match this videotape to that videotape, this person looks like they can go with that person. People lied on these things, right? So, you know, eHarmony looked at it from a standpoint that we want to do a real assessment of people in a more in-depth analysis, right? And then they match them together. So that was a whole different mindset. And not that they're the only ones, because they have blackpeoplemeet.com, cougars.com. They got all these other dating sites. But eHarmony took it to a whole different level from a standpoint that they wanted people to match up and become soulmates. They're not just talking about dating. And this comes from the founder, is that he wants people to really be matched for the lifetime. So it's a little bit different. So that's when we talk about being different, being unique, stepping way outside of any box that has ever been created, or provide an easier way to do something, like I said with Fandango. Fandango made me a moviegoer again. I stopped going to movies because I didn't want to stand in line. I mean, isn't that crazy? But I bet you there are a lot of people just like me who said, hey, you know, I don't want to stand in line. So you have to think about that. And then think about the different books. And I just happen to have webinars for dummies, right? So think about the books that teach you how to do things. Think about what that created. You know, it started out with some basic things. I think it even started out like, you know, Microsoft for Dummies and things like that. Now everything is for dummies, right? And we have the ability to look things up or go to the library and get that book or download the book and get, you know, and learn how to do things. So that was pretty creative, and that was outside of any box or any type of arena that we typically might have. Or you create a more convenient way to access services. I mean, you know, I worked years ago for Station Casinos, and one of the things we were very, very proud of was the ticket in and ticket out feature, right? A lot of people, you know, liked, you know, taking change in those big old buckets. You guys remember you had people who would take buckets to the counter and change in there and get change and get money. Now everybody uses the ticket service. So it was a whole shift in a culture. It was training people. It was teaching people. And the problem that I believe that most small businesses have is they don't feel like they have time to train people or teach people. They want things to happen in their first year. It normally takes 3 to 5 years to make people really, really react and change your behaviors when it comes to developing a new brand. Most of the people who have developed brands said it took a while. And think about the evolution, right? Think about the evolution of a brand. I'm going to go into that a little bit later, but think about how things have changed. As soon as I got the iPod, it seemed like the iPad was coming out, right? So how do you shift that fast, and how do you move? And then I get an iPhone 4, and then I get a 4S, and then I got a 5, and then I got 6. These things happen because what basically is happening is Apple is not waiting for you to catch up. They are actually setting you up for the next thing a year out, 18 months out. They are already whispering. Those rumors are not coming from anywhere but Apple, right? You know, hey, guess what? There's a new phone coming out. It's going to be bigger, faster. It's going to be stronger. It's going to actually bathe you. You know, it's going to do all these things. And you just have to really pay attention to what's happening when it comes to the trends and what's happening in the market. So first of all, you have to know that. The next thing you have to understand is who is the most important thing in your marketing plan and in your branding. Who is going to listen to your song? It's extremely important about who is going to listen to your song. The one thing I have to step back and think about is when I mentioned that I didn't create hip hop. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. I was the nerd of the group. I was the guy who did the flyers and the tape covers and the posters and the street teaming. So I was the communications guy, which was not the sexy guy. You know, I wasn't a DJ or a break dancer or a rapper. But I'll tell you what happened. What people thought hip-hop was, and even if you've seen some of the things that people believe that phenomenon to be, was hip-hop was not a black thing, a white thing, a Chinese thing, or a Puerto Rican thing. Hip-hop was a cultural phenomenon that actually embraced all cultures. If you were the kid in the suburbs, you loved hip-hop. If you were the kid in the hood, you loved hip-hop. If you were the introvert, you sang those hip-hop songs. So you have to understand that it really changed the whole dynamics. And that's when you say you're a trendsetter. That's when we're talking about the semiotics, when we're talking about how you go from one end to the other and you set trends. You make things happen. What people don't realize is the people who formed Def Jam. You know, it was Russell Simmons, but Rick Rubin was on the other side, a Jewish kid, right? And they were making great music, right? And people don't understand that when you look at market appeal, when you look at market needs, there was a need at that time for young people. We were not the flower child of our parents' generation, right? This was our flower child. So instead of reacting to the market, those folks created a market, even though it was somewhat by accident. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense to most people. Who are you appealing to? Are you appealing to the people with the lonely heart? Are you appealing to people who want to get out there and dance? Are you appealing to Christians? Are you appealing to the religious side of people? Who are your customers? What are you trying to do for them? And stay focused on that. Where when we start becoming selfish in our own way, we forget about the brand. We start looking at other things. We stay focused on what is our actual brand. More importantly than anything else, who is your brand champion? And let me describe what a brand champion is versus a customer. A brand champion is a person who not only purchases your product, they invest in your product. There's a big difference. Is me going to buy a car or investing in Ford or investing in Chrysler or investing in Toyota is two different things. If I'm investing in those brands, then I am actually bringing my family into those brands. I am saying, boy, if I buy Ford, you better buy Ford. That is branding, right? When your parents say, I'm a Pepsi drinker, you better not bring Coke in my house. That is a brand champion. And that's the difference. What really makes them tick? What motivates them? How do you make an impact in their lives? Where you think, hey, you know what, Shondell, I'm just a neighborhood restaurant. Do you know a neighborhood restaurant is sometimes the first place that a person comes to in the morning? So if you're that first stop for them, you could set the pace for their entire day, their work day, their attitude, the way they treat their employees. or the way they're going to go back to their family in the afternoon if that's their last stop, right? One of my favorite places to shop, and Greta knows this, is Target. Why do I like Target? Well, okay, because the Target brand has a different appeal than the Walmart brand, in my opinion, right? You, whoever on the phone, might see it different. My wife doesn't like Walmart. We both love Target. And the reason we like Target, because we have this spacious feel. We feel like we own every aisle. We feel like it's clean, it's neat, it's very organized, right? It feels different. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I have a relationship with Target, right? You know, I had an attitude when they had the little faux pas, right? I'm like, man, not my Target. No, it can't be happening. We have an emotional response to brands. And what happens is, as small business owners or as business owners in general, whether your corporation is small, you have to understand that the feeling and the emotion that people have when they react to your brand. So you have to watch those things. And that's what's important to us is, why do we want your brand? Why do we want to have a relationship with that brand? So you have to put that in there. So that's the big piece. The other thing that's extremely important is your song relevant? Does it remain relevant? If you ask people like Blockbuster, some of the bookstores, some of the other brands, restaurants that have gone out of business, chains, long-time companies that no longer are relevant, how do you stand the test of time? How do you meet a need in the world, and how do you talk to a large group of people? Well, think about Apple, right? Let's talk about Apple for a minute. Apple not only solved a computer problem, because I got my first Commodore 64 in 1982, I believe. Yeah, so I did. I had that big bulky thing, that I had to put about 20 discs in to get it started. But today, think about it. Not only did Apple impact computers, because IBM kind of had that stronghold on computers, music, television, internet, telephones. Wow, they have really made themselves relevant in so many areas that you can't really discount them, because they're everywhere, where everything that you need, they became a part of, right? When I walked in here, I was listening to my iTunes. I'm like, yeah, and it was funny because I got to iTunes by accident. I'm like, okay, I want this song, and then boom, I had to download iTunes to get this song, and then now I'm a big iTunes user, right? So, and my buddy, he used Apple TV. So we have to think about this is, can you make your song remain relevant, right? I'm a marketing company, right? So I can't do things that, Ogilvy Mather did 25 years ago, right? I can't stay in that pocket. I can't think print advertising is king because I want to hold on to it. It has to be something where you move the market, not let the market move you. Big difference. You move the market. You make sure that you're the trendsetter versus you being reactive. You have to be proactive. And so that's what makes people relevant, and that's what makes them smarter when it comes down to building your business. And stay on task, stay on mission, as we used to say when I was in the military. How many things can you put together to impact the world? It's about impacting the world. Those brands that understand that changing the world is their mission win and make sweet music all of the time, right? They don't just understand it, they live it, they breathe it. Remember, Gandhi said, at one point, maybe he was paraphrasing from someone else, but he said, you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. Well, you have to be the brand that you want to see in the world. You really have to become that brand. If my brand happens to be orange, orange is going to be everywhere you see. You're going to see orange somewhere in Shondell. So you have to live that brand. You have to believe that brand. You have to get everybody else to buy into that brand. So that's the important part. How do you stay relevant? The chambers. The world of the chamber is evolving, right? Things are changing. You can't be the same old chamber, right? You can't say, hey, you know what? We're going to put 30 people in a room because that's the way we've done it, and by golly, we're going to stay that way. Maybe you have to go to webinars. Maybe you have to evolve into different podcasts and things that are going to be relevant to people. You have to think that way. So I will tell you this, while we're coming down on a little bit of time, I hate to be preachy, but that's the way I roll. You know, it's like when I talk about making sweet music, it's about that rhythm, it's about that rhyme, it's about getting your customer actively engaged in your brand, where they don't only just hear a song, they feel a song. They feel what you're pushing. They feel what your company is trying to do in affecting and changing their lives. So today I want you to briefly think about understanding the importance of semiotics in branding. And basically that's the symbology, and that's how we react to symbols, how we react to characters, how we react to the things that are wrapped around a brand. I want you to walk away today and create your own sheet of music to change the world. I don't want you to stay the same company you've been, if you've been that way because your founder made it that way. Create your own sheet of music. Keep your focus on the customer who will listen to your music, who will respond to your music. That's extremely important. Stay relevant. Push the envelope. Create some new. I have on the PowerPoint your website, www.somenewmarketing.com. We do a number of things that will hopefully help our small businesses, where we will help you with different videos, interviews, what I call orange papers. I don't do white papers because, like I said, I'm creating a new trend, right? I don't need a white paper. I'm doing an orange paper. So you can see those different orange papers. And I want you to always do something new. Think about something new that you can do. Don't think about a box. Think not outside a box, but destroy the box. We have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. My handle is @SomeNewMarket. So if you want to ask questions or do anything later on, do that. But in a minute, we'll be able to take your questions. I want you to look at the final slide here with a cartoon. I used to get this all of the time. And I know the chamber gets this when it comes to investing. It says, it says, why did you look out the window when I said I can't afford marketing? And I said, I'm trying to see which casino would take odds on your business succeeding. I'm betting against you. If you don't believe in the investment of your brand and the investment of your company and the investment, no one else will. No one else is going to buy into it because you don't buy into it. So make sure that your brand is bigger than your symbols, it's bigger than your logo, it's bigger than your tagline. Invest in the people who are going to believe in your brand. Invest in the training that's going to uplift your brand. Invest in all of those things that make your brand come to life. So with that, I'm pretty much done with the sermon part, if you will, and I think we're ready for questions, right?
Well, if you want to ask a question, you guys can type it into the chat box on the bottom left corner of your screen if you're on the web. If you are just on your phone, you can press *7 to unmute your line. If you don't have a question now and you think of one later, you can always email the chamber and we can forward it along to Shondell, or if you have Twitter, you can tweet a question at him at his handle. I don't see any questions on my end.
Any questions? No?
Any questions?
Well, I am truly excited to do this first Chamber 101. Chamber University, Chamber University is like marketing 101, I guess, and brand development. I hope that I sparked something that could give you some insight to help you build or develop your business, no matter whether you're in a corporation, a small business, nonprofit. You can walk away with understanding how a brand is all about what the customer's feelings are, their emotions, and how they take things away. So if there are no questions, I guess we adjourn at this time.
Yeah, and I want to thank Shondell for coming and doing our inaugural Chamber University series today. And I also want to remind everyone that Chamber University is an ongoing webinar series. So if you'd like to join us again next Friday at 10 a.m., we will be having another session on Just Charge It, EMV compliance. So you can check out all of our upcoming events at lvchamber.com. Thank you again, Shondell. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.